Everybody loves a good spin-off game, because who knows, maybe it's even better than the original. Games like Mario Kart, Metroid Prime, Persona, Shadow the Hedgehog. Wait, that last one sucks. But if you can believe it, Shadow the Hedgehog isn't even on this list. These are 10 spin-offs worse than Shadow the Hedgehog. Hi guys, DPX here, counting down the top 10 worst spin-off games. Now for some ground rules. First off, one game per franchise, because maybe it'll get a little too filled up by certain franchises if I don't do that. The other thing is that it is important to know what a spin-off game is. A spin-off has to be either a game that is very different from what the franchise is known for, or exploring a specific character or setting, or all the above. A game like Bomberman Act Zero I consider more of a reboot than a spin-off, and the Mario and Zelda CDI games I consider, well, we'll just say too easy for this list. Anyways, let's get into it, but before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, and I assure you, a Lamborghini will actually show up right at your front door.
I wanted to give to you, in the last part of your notes here, the significance spiritually of the number 10 in the Bible.
Final Fantasy VII, a goddamn classic, and shows just how you do JRPGs, and how well stories in video games can be. The game had one character named Vincent Valentine, and later on, he got his own game called Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII. But instead of making it an RPG or a game anything like Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which is another spin-off of that game focusing on Zack, Square made this game into a third-person shooter. While not really an idea doomed from the very start, I don't think this game works as a third-person shooter. The story works fairly well, but the game's AI is laughable and the level design is super repetitive and boring. So all that just makes the game more of a slog to play than anything else. Not to mention, I looked it up. Well, what the fuck is a dirge? Alright, yeah, we got some list. If Street Fighter the movie, the game, is at number 9. And yeah, that is basically what this game is. A video game based off a movie, in which is based off a game. So that's like a double curse. And while I don't really think it is the worst game ever, the decision to use digitized actors as the characters is an odd one, because it makes the game look like shit. For Street Fighter, it just doesn't look right. Also, it's probably worth mentioning that there are two different versions of this game, and they are both quite different, and both quite shit, as they both have terrible hitboxes and the controls suck. I understand why a lot of companies wanted to cash in on movies and make a game of them, and vice versa, but did we really need this one? Again, it was a double curse.
So I'm going to be giving this flavor 8.5 out of 10 scoops.
Pokemon, a worldwide phenomenon. Pokemon has a wide variety of spin-offs, and while many are actually pretty solid, like Pokemon Snap, for example, you get ones like Pokemon Channel. What is Pokemon Channel, I hear you asking? Well, you see, in Pokemon Channel, you watch Pikachu, watch other Pokemon do things on TV. What, you think there's more? Nope. Can I classify this as a game? Because a game would imply that you actually do things, i.e. interact. In Pokemon Channel, you watch things, or rather you watch Pikachu watch things. To be fair, you do actually kind of interact with some of these channels, but it's not fun. For example, in Examination Hatch Up, there is an egg that you interact with by selecting what Pokemon you think is in the egg, and then you watch it hatch. Pretty neat, I know. However, the egg will take up to 24 hours in real time to hatch. So it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? I got it, play a different game. Seriously, who is this game for?
36. Very close, but that's not it. Let's go to Gary the Retard. What number between 2 and 4?
7.
Hey, speaking of games that make you ask, who is this for? Mega Man Soccer! I actually can't figure this one out. I know Mario and Sonic both have done some sports before, but it just doesn't seem right with Mega Man. First off, as the story goes, Robot Masters have invaded, and thus Mega Man must face them in a game of soccer. Yep, maybe I'm taking this a little too seriously, but a robot invasion leads to a soccer game. But hey, I can excuse that if the game plays well, which it does not. Mega Man Soccer feels hella generic and boring, and not even a competent game to control. With as much as Capcom milked the ever-loving shit out of the Mega Man franchise, it is bizarre that we never got any more games like this one. But you know what? Good.
Okay, Mrs. Puff, what's my final score?
6.
Woo! Metal Gear Solid 5 seems to be a very divisive game. Many people believe the story and gameplay both suck ass, while others feel the exact opposite. Whatever you think of the game, one thing is certain: this is the finale to Metal Gear. I'm not suggesting they never make any other Metal Gear game ever again, but I am suggesting that if all we're gonna be getting is shit like Metal Gear Survive, maybe never make another Metal Gear game ever again. While on paper, a Metal Gear Solid online zombie game doesn't sound like the worst idea ever, because let's be real, I did just talk about Mega Man Soccer. It is a huge slap in the face to fans of this franchise. Not to mention the game doesn't control well, and it might also have some of the greediest microtransactions I've ever seen in a video game. Seriously, I don't think I can ever get over the fact that they charge you $10 for a second save slot. Not to mention, on top of that, there are just microtransactions everywhere in this game. And did I mention that this is just not Metal Gear? Say it with me now. Fuck you, Konami.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
No video game franchise has as many spin-offs as Mario. Hell, there might be more Mario spin-off games than there are mainline Mario games, which is probably one reason why the franchise is just so big when it comes to game count. But they can't all be winners, and there are 2 losers: Mario is Missing and Mario's Time Machine. Both games actually sound very interesting on paper, before you know what the games actually are. A game where you play as Luigi to find Mario, and a game where Mario goes back in time. But they baited you, cause these 2 games are educational games. Now, educational games are sort of easy targets, and, you know, maybe low-hanging fruit to make fun of, but you don't see me making fun of the early years games, you know? Because those are clearly meant for babies. But these 2 games disguise themselves as genuine games. How was I supposed to know that a game called Mario is Missing is an edutainment game? How was I supposed to know that a game called Mario's Time Machine is an edutainment game about Mario going back in time and teaching you about history? These games have titles that 100% mislead the customer, and that's why it is okay to shit on these 2 edutainment games and basically none of the other ones in existence. Amiibo. I love Amiibo as they are so freaking addicting to collect. Seriously, I have too many. Way too many. However, there becomes an issue where a game exists just to sell more Amiibos. Okay, if you thought I was talking about Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, congratulations, you'd be correct. No joke. I am dead serious when I say this. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival might be one of the most boring games I've ever played. I mean no hyperbole when I say that the only reason this game exists is because someone at Nintendo really wanted Animal Crossing Amiibos. I'm not joking, that's literally the only reason this game exists. Now once again, I'm all for more Amiibos. Make Animal Crossing Amiibos and I'll buy them. All of them. But it's gotta be a game first, then toy producer second, right? Notice how I'm not really describing the game itself, and that's cause, well, what's there to say? It's Mario Party with an Animal Crossing reskin, but it's hella boring. So I mentioned Shadow the Hedgehog earlier in this video, but that doesn't mean Sonic is exempt from shitty spin-offs. If you thought that meant Sonic R, you'd be wrong. As, well, for as bad as Sonic R is, it's not unplayable, it's just fucking terrible. Maybe a little unplayable, but that's just because the controls suck. We're talking about another Sonic racing game that the controls are just unbearably bad because it uses Xbox Kinect. Sonic Riders is a trilogy. There is one game on the Wii and one game on the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube, and both of these are perfectly fine games. Nothing too crazy, nothing too bad though. Sonic Free Riders, however, is nearly unplayable. Sonic Free Riders is way too reliant on Xbox Kinect and does not work. I'm telling you, this game does not work. I know this was one of the marquee titles for the Xbox Kinect, and there were others as well that came out, but this one was really one of them to set the tone. This does nothing but show just how unresponsive Kinect can truly be. When you can't even navigate the menus, I don't even want to see the gameplay. Boosting is impossible, grabbing items is impossible, moving from side to side is impossible without the game fucking up massively. Want to play co-op? Prepare to look like a dumbass. I think it is fair to say games like Sonic Free Riders is why Xbox Kinect is seen as a joke nowadays, and it's just a shitty spin-off of the Sonic franchise.
What kind of pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
At the time of me writing this, Microsoft and Bethesda just delayed Starfield about a week ago. I'm assuming this is to assure that Starfield, along with Redfall, which also got delayed, will be up to snuff and polished by the time they release. If only we can go back in time so Bethesda can do the same with Fallout 76. Cause goddammit, that game really needed a delay. First thing is first, maybe you're unsure if this is really a spin-off and thus qualifies for this list, but I'd say it is because while it is a prequel to the other Fallout games in the storyline, it's mainly an online focused game, which is very different for Fallout, so that's why it's on the list. Anyways, it's worth mentioning I've heard that the game has gotten better over time, believe it or not, and regardless of whether or not that is true, since I have yet to play the game myself since, the launch of this game was an absolute joke. Fallout 76 may have had one of the worst video game launches of all time, as it was incredibly buggy and glitchy to a laughable degree, and single-handedly turned Todd Howard into a meme. On top of that, things only got worse. We later got a fucking subscription service in Fallout First, which, by the way, from what I've heard, apparently did not improve a single thing. It seemed that this game was slowly taking the franchise and the company down with it, but luckily, after being acquired by Microsoft, Bethesda shouldn't fuck up this badly ever again. I hope. Before we get to number 1, there were so many games that could have been on this list, maybe even a part 2 in the future if you want to see it. But before we get to number 1, let me show you some other games that I considered for this list, i.e. honorable mentions.
So that if the bombs do come, our way of life will endure.
Almost heaven, West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like the breeze.
I'm a Luigi, number 1.
Alright guys, I don't like doing this, but there are 2 games at number 1 because I genuinely cannot decide which one is more deserving of this top spot. Is it Mortal Kombat Special Forces, or is it Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero? Once again, I genuinely do not know, but one thing is certain. they are at least the 2 worst spin-off games of all time. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero takes place before the first Mortal Kombat game, where you play as Sub-Zero in a 2.5D side-scroller that controls like shit and has enemies that are absolute bullshit. Mortal Kombat Special Forces permanently hurt the franchise as it had a very troubled development, and all they had to show for that was a clunky spin-off of Mortal Kombat that had poor combat and poor camera controls and is otherwise completely lame as it lacks any sort of interesting story. And did I mention the fucking camera controls? Holy shit, that is terrible. Mythology Sub-Zero might be a worse game, but Special Forces was far more damaging, so both constitute for the #1 top spot as the worst video game spin-off of all time. So that was this list. Again, it was actually a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Like, there are a lot of terrible spin-offs, especially since it's hard to really, you know, many people seem to have different opinions on what a spin-off is. So, did I exclude a game? Do you guys want to see a part 2? Because I honestly might want to do one, but do you guys want to see one? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, or remember, I will get you a Lamborghini if you comment, like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell. So bye, guys.